And the other like parallel indication to poetry was to the story of Shirin and Farhad. That was made the movie Shirin based on that. There's also a great and big poetic story. And it was interesting that all of these stories and motifs are working together parallelly, and with just a lot of multi-layer indications to this in Abbas's work. And the guy actually you saw that was digging a hole because Farhad was in love with Shirin, and he started digging the mountain near this village was in the province of Kermanshah, and the castle of Farhad is near that. Basically, Farhad started digging in the mountain to make a castle for Shirin, her love, and it was another indication, another poetic motif in Abbas's poetry books, and also this.
Right, and the guy actually in the hole doing the digging was a friend of mine, Lon Goma, who went on to become a famous director of the Town of Fucking Horses and everything like that. I heard he's making a film in New York. I tried to see if I could track him down and tell us what was what in the hole. But in any case, the cinematographer of this one, because it ran his greatest cinematographer, Michael Collery, somebody told me the other day he was in town, and I tried to get him Sunday, so I'm sorry you don't have him.
Very sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think I can throw anything together for next week, unfortunately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if there is any, do you think there is any other examples of poetic movies or poetic cinema in other countries that we can compare it with Kiarostami's movies?
That's a good question. I think that there are different directors in different countries have different poetic sensibilities, and I think that others do things like that. But I don't see any sort of it's like Kiarostami being so dependent on a very idiosyncratic, personal, culturally based idiom that he creates for the screen. It's just you got to get that and you sort of don't get it.
It's one to keep thinking about.
Yeah, it is. Sure. Was there another question?
There's a question up here.
I don't know if so. Furuk, she represents she represents an independent woman, and there's a lot of limitations with how you can film independent women, and Kiarostami does women a lot of justice. I don't know if you guys have any comments on how. I'm sorry?
Which woman are you talking about?
Furuk, the poet?
Furuk.
Yeah, yeah. She's the inspiration of the movie. I don't know if you have any comments on how women are represented in the film, or any of the kind of secret messages that he's trying to send about women.
Well, he did not, from the time he resumed working after the revolution until he left Iran in the aughts, he didn't make any movies that had to do with grown-up adult couples, because he was very clear that he felt like it would be dishonest to make movies where you try to have a film about a marriage and people are in their house and they have their hijab on. Because in Iran they don't. Women take their scarves off as soon as they come in. And he felt like also there was a lot of censorship around real relations between men and women. In Iranian cinema, unless the actors are actually married in real life, they can't hold hands on screen. So there's so many barriers to having a realistic representation that between the report, which he made right before the revolution, which was about basically about his marriage breaking down, and Certified Copy, which he made in Italy in 2010, there's no sort of adult women. But he is sort of like weaving women in there. I mean, there is actually in the film 10, he's got women, but they're not in a home situation. They're out driving around in cars, and that's the first time he comes back into it. But he doesn't even there have relationships between men and women. It's women talking about their situation. So I think he was very, he was kind of angry at the way of the restrictions that were placed on him. And when he did comment on women, he had things like this woman, I think, that was the serving woman. I think they found her right there, and he built something for her because he thought she was such a great character. There are also other women in here where, I think they're kind of rich characters, but they can't have a real relationship with this man because in real life they don't have a real relationship with this man.
On the subject of the servant character, I just wanted to add that I happened to be reading an interview that Kiarostami gave, I think around 2000, where he was asked a similar question, or a question about the woman serving key, and says that that's the character who he sees himself in most. Which is interesting. Iman,
Yeah, something interesting is that I myself work as a family physician in an area near this place, another province, Ilam, in a village. So I think the images and like the life Abbas is showing from the women is very realistic. And the other interesting thing was that you saw more women in images rather than men. And it was interesting because usually it's not the case, you know, it's not the case in these villages. You see more men, I mean, and the other interesting item that I think Abbas was very, very, very smart was because there was a dialogue between in the car between those two guys about the funeral and scars and face of women. When I started my work in that village, I was observing once in a while I saw patients coming with some sort of redness and scars on the face and with weakness, and I always was thinking that I was diagnosing them with lupus or something, but I was thinking it's not one, there are many of them. And after a while I figured out when someone dies, the funeral was that they just make scars, scratch their faces, and it's some sort of funeral that also the guy wanted to film it. And this is something like, I don't know how Abbas could get that, because you should live in these areas for a long time to be able to observe this sometimes phenomenon and then just talk about it. But I think the pictures, everything was very, very realistic about the woman having many kids, working all the time, and you saw that many people were very nice to strangers, inviting them. It's very realistic.
I was given the wrap-up signal. Unfortunately, we have another event coming in here.
May I
very
plug my
soon.
thing before?
Oh, of course, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing an Indiegogo campaign for